And now storm tracker weather with meteorologist Paul Bean.
Let's take another look at that storm tracker because we are still tracking clouds across the region and we're still seeing a fire weather watch throughout the Snake River Plain, but the red flag warning that was in the central mountains near Chalice and Salmon, that's backed off. A lot of the storms have moved out of there, and because of those dry storms, which is what we're still seeing in Idaho Falls and Pocatello with a lot of those clouds, because of those dry storms, there's still a chance of lightning and wind, which was the two big elements that are going to contribute to some of that fire weather problems with that red flag warning. That fire weather watch does extend until Saturday, so keep your eyes out through tomorrow as well, but not as much in the way of thunderstorms starting tomorrow. Of course, we saw them stroll through the southern half of the state. It was very close to the border of Utah and up in the central mountains, but those have cleared out. We're only seeing a lot of those clouds remain. That's going to push over to Jackson, who's going to see some rain tonight. But past that, a lot of this, all this moisture that's moving across is weakening, and it's going to move out by tomorrow, which is why we're not really seeing much come of it after that. When I zoom out, you do see that that very weak front that had moved through, that has since pushed out of both Washington and Oregon. It's pushing out of Nevada right now. That's going to be out of our area completely moving forward into tomorrow. Unfortunately, Saturday is not the case. We are going to see a little bit more of that rain and a chance of thunderstorm here and there push in once we start that weekend. Temperature tracker right now, 17 in Pocatello, 70 in Pocatello, 74 in Idaho Falls. Seeing 50s and 60s over in Wyoming, though, so you can definitely tell with that moisture has brought some cold temperatures, especially into some of those mountain regions. 44 Yellowstone, 58 Driggs. Even in the central mountains, still recovering a bit with 65 and 67 in Stanley and Chalice. Now moving forward to tonight, that's going to drop quite a bit. 50 in Pocatello, 40s pretty much everywhere else, 47 and 48 in Blackfoot and Idaho Falls, 47s up till Island Park, and a chilly 36 in Yellowstone, which actually isn't the coldest low we've seen this year. That's actually an improvement over those freezing temperatures we've been seeing for the last few days. So some of these lows have warmed up, but it's still relatively on the cold side, especially since we're still seeing clear skies at night, which is why we've seen a lot of these lower lows. Of course, as we move into tomorrow, we're still on the hottest part of the week. 89 in Pocatello, 88 in both Blackfoot and Idaho Falls. So instead of those 90s that we saw last year for Fair Week, we're actually closer to those mid to upper 80s, and 89 is the worst Pocatello will see this week. We saw it yesterday as well. Now we're going to start to tip the scale in the other direction. Once we move forward off this 89, we're back to 87, down to those mid 80s, whereas in those 70 regions, Yellowstone, Jackson, Afton with 71, 79, 79, those are going to dip back into the low 70s. And we're actually starting to see that slow cooling shift into the fall, especially since meteorological fall did start this week and astronomical fall starts 2 weeks from now. So we're in that transitory period where we'll see a lot of those temperatures start to really shift down. And with that temperature shift, there's not much in the way of rain. I mentioned it earlier, but this is the future tracker for tomorrow. Some clouds up near Rexburg, Driggs, and Jackson, but as I move that forward, the biggest wave of clouds tomorrow won't be until the evening. This is that next wave of moisture that's going to bring some rain into the area, although 20% chances at most with very scattered storms. But this is the moisture that's going to start to move their way in on Saturday. It's just a little bit early in the central mountains for the evening periods and nighttime periods for the central mountains. So moving forward, expect to see that turn to rain for Saturday morning. Now, of course, for that 7-day forecast, there is a slight amount of rain coming in on Saturday. A little bit of wind moving through as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see another red flag warning pop up for that. But for now, still that fire watch. And that's the only thing that's really for the entire week. You'll see the temperatures dip, but the only real disturbance we're seeing is that chance of thunderstorms on Saturday. And it's a pretty light chance. Windy, 86. Only 20% chance of even seeing thunder. So it's very scattered storms making its way through, but it's the only thing of note that's coming in the next few days. Saturday also in Rexburg, seeing that chance of rain. Temperatures dipping down to the 70s by next week, though. So we are seeing that fall shift a little bit earlier than you'd expect. Teton also Saturday, seeing a very cold week with 79, 77, and some of those nighttime lows being 36, 37, very close to freezing. Finally, the central mountains also seeing some of those lows dip down in the mid 40s, but for the most part of the week, it'll stay clear. They're not they're dodging a bullet on Saturday with no rain, but further down the week they'll get that as well.
Again, that's a Blind Melon reference. Not old enough for Blind Melon. Oh, okay, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you.